Hello, Professor, and this is video assignment for my Greek mythology class on Scylla. So for my main characters, we have Scylla, and the supporting characters we have Glaucus, Circe, Hecate, and then the two in red are the ones I'm adding in, which is Judd and the Sirens. First, we're going to start off with the original story and its key points and events. So Glaucus moves into town, the same town that Circe and Scylla both live at. Glaucus falls madly in love with Scylla after laying his eyes on her. Circe becomes very jealous because she is in love with Glaucus. She then tells Glaucus that he would be better off with her versus Scylla. Circe and Hecate then plot to turn Scylla into a monster. And while Scylla is bathing, Circe pours in a magical potion that turns Scylla into a beast or a monster, where she's half human and the bottom half of her is, best way to describe it is like an octopus but with the heads of dogs. Glaucus then runs to Circe as Scylla has been turned into a monster, and then Scylla then lives on a rock and scares away all the sailors, including some from the Trojan War. Before we get into my changes and my ideas, I want to start off with I want this in the theme of it being a movie, possibly being called Scylla's Wrath. And the reason for this is because the whole story itself is just so much drama, and it's also like a love story that it reminds me of just pretty much a Disney movie. So that is why I think it would be very fitting for it to be into a movie. So my story, Scylla's Wrath, the key points and events are Glaucus moves into town, Glaucus and Scylla fall in love together, Circe gets jealous, but also more than just jealous, I'll go into that, and Circe and Hecate turn Scylla into a monster. Glaucus runs to Circe, Scylla then scares away sailors but with new friends, and then Scylla and Judd fall in love. And I'll explain more in the next 2 slides. So my first major change is going to be at the beginning. So first, I'm going to have them actually meet. Since Glaucus was a fisherman, I'm going to have Circe walk on the beach and bump into him with him fishing, and maybe her start fishing with him as well. And then I'm going to have some scenes where they're actually courting and dating and interacting with one another, maybe in public, or maybe some stuff in private. And then we're going to have Circe follow them around, stalking them, getting angrier by the day as seeing them together. And then I'm going to have Circe have an interaction with Scylla and warn her that she will hurt her if she gets too close to Glaucus. And then I'll have Circe again warning Glaucus and telling him that she is a better pick than Scylla and so forth. So my next major changes, which is going to be towards the end, are Scylla's being forced to move to the sea. Now in the passage, we don't really get an explanation of why she was just sent to the sea to live there on a rock to scare people. So I decided to give an explanation as to why, like example being she is forced to move to the sea because the townspeople in her town think she's a monster and she's a witch and she's causing droughts and their cattle to die and so forth. So they forced her to move to an island all by herself. But instead of the island that she moves to, she finds out she isn't alone. So one of my sites that believe it's the second one, there is an article that talks about that Scylla interacts with the sirens. So I decided to put that in there as Scylla and the sirens have decided to all hate men, and through the years, as any boats come close, they attack and raid them. And I want it to be like really strong, powerful battles between these women and men, but I want it to show off the women being very, very strong and independent. But however, now it's centuries go by, years have gone by, and everyone knows to stay away from this island until around World War II. I'm gonna have this naval officer, we'll call him Judd, decides to pay a visit to the island you're not supposed to go to, and that's where he finds the sirens and he finds Scylla, and he's kind of starstruck and amazed. But they battle at first, and then they realize that he's not a bad guy and he's a really nice guy, and they decided to, after he loses the battle, to talk it out. And eventually, after a few days of friendly to getting a little bit more comfortable with each other, she decides to let her guard down, and they ultimately eventually fall in love. I cannot help myself there. I love a good happy ending, but I think that having centuries go by and having her heal from everything that happened is a great thing as well. So I want my movie Skyla's Wrath to challenge um the gender norms and the social norms, and not just for it could be driven towards ancient women then, but also to modern women for now, because it's still a struggle today to see women challenge these ideas and challenge the social norms that we don't need to be weak and we don't need a men to help us survive through our lives. We can live our lives perfectly happy and be strong and independent and amazing and beautiful without them. And again, I said it can be monitored because this is still a struggle today, and this can be used to empower women then and now. So on this slide, I have my sites. Left side, I have all my information that I got, and then on the right side is for all my images. It's set for the pushpin cat. Those ones all came from PowerPoint. I just went to the design and added clip art, and it had a cat. It was cute. I added it. So that's where those came from. So my last slide here, I just want to stop and say thank you. I really, really enjoyed taking your class, and I learned lot more than I was expecting. And I actually completely changed who my favorite goddess was. I actually changed it was Aphrodite, and now I changed it to Demeter. And I actually really enjoyed Demeter's story so much that when I got a kitten these last few weeks, I decided to name her Demeter. And you probably heard her collar jingling in a few of my voice things, so I decided to include a picture of her. So there's Demeter. But anyway, thank you so much and have a good rest of your day.